So good morning, this is Reagan Terrell, your RV Traveler's Voice, and today we're going to be handling a brief annoyance on our travel trailer with our lights. Both of our bedrooms, the front master bedroom and the rear bunk room, neither of them have wall switches. They have ceiling lights, but nothing on the wall when you enter the room. Entering a dark room, you have to fumble around and find the ceiling lights and the push button there. So we're going to look at a way to handle that with the installation of the Eco LED light purchased here on Amazon. And here's an example of what that looks like. Okay, and I'm going to show you a little bit of our annoyance. And this is our bunk room, and in the bunk room you'll see that we have ceiling lights, 4 ceiling lights here. They're all push button lights, and you have to reach around, and while as an adult this is fairly easy to do, if you have small children or someone who's vertically challenged, reaching these lights to turn them on, not even in the dark, may be a challenge as well. And there's no switch on any of the walls, as you can see here as well. So why don't you show them a little bit of the wall and show them that we have no switches on the walls coming into the room, and come around to this other side. Let's take a look there as well. You'll see we have no switches here on this side of the main bunk room as well. So what we're going to do today is show you how to, I'm going to switch one light on and off with our new Eco LED switch. So here we have our Eco LED switch. This is what comes in the package. The dimmer switch with a couple of wires on both sides, as well as a wall switch, a wireless wall switch. And it comes with the wire nuts as well to do all the attaching. But actually with our trailer, there's no need to cut any wires, but we will be using a couple of wire nuts to do the attachments. And the only tool you need is a screwdriver with a square tipped bit, and you can use a power screwdriver or a manual screwdriver. The screws are fairly easy to take out either way. You'll see I have here, for convenience, a handy multimeter to actually check out which is the positive and negative wiring. But actually, if you don't have a multimeter, you don't have to worry about that. You can do this via trial and error. It won't hurt the switch if you hook it up backwards. Just turn the power off again and rewire it to the opposite wires, and it'll come back on if it doesn't come on the first time. Which brings me to a very important safety tip. Make sure before you start this activity that you turn off both the master power to the trailer as well as your battery disconnect, if you have a disconnect, because these lights run off of 12 volt. And so just disconnecting the power from your trailer will automatically switch the lights to be run from your 12 volt battery. So make sure you do that before you start. So here we are at the front of our trailer. The battery disconnect is down here, this nice little red switch, and it's fairly easy to turn it off, turn it all the way off. Here is our master breaker. This RV is hooked up to our house. We have an outside box installed, and I'm just going to flip the switch to that to make sure we have the power off, the main power off as well. So now we're back here in the bunk room. We have all the power off, and we'll start our installation. The first thing is to remove the cover. It's fairly simple. It is just with the twist of the wrist, and the cover comes straight off. And you'll see this LED light is held up by 3 screws. So we're going to remove the screws fairly simply. And gently start to pull the light from the ceiling. You'll see that there are a couple of wires. These are the main power wires for this 12 volt light. And gently pull them back until you see the connector, the first connector. There'll be 2 connectors in there connecting to the positive and negative side of the circuit. And this trailer is wired with these handy flip switch connectors, so it's fairly easy to remove the wiring. You'll see here it has the black connected to the black and white line, and the white connected to the white So to easily disconnect this, just flip the switch up, pull out, flip the switch up, pull out. Simple as that. So now that we have the light switch removed, the instructions that come with the Eco-Lite dimmer are to apply the dimmer, connect the dimmer to the light first. So we're going to connect the dimmer, and they have a nice little tag on here that reminds you which wires to connect to the light. One says the input, so we're going to set that one aside. That's where our power is going to come from. And this is the output. So this is the two wires. These are the two wires that need to be connected to the light. And we're going to connect them up. We're going to connect the white to the black. Fairly straightforward. Twist the wires, connect, put the wire nut on it, and you have a nice tight connection. We're going to connect the white to the gray. Wire nut. Nice tight connection. Now we have the input side. Now which of these sides do we connect to which line? Well, I'm going to show you an easy way to find this out with your multimeter. But if you don't have a multimeter, you can do trial and error and see which way works with the light. But I'm going to hook up the multimeter, and we're going to check to see which one of these is the positive input. So to find out which is the positive wire, I'm using this handy multimeter. By the way, this is one of the greatest things I bought during my must-haves when we got our RV. You can get it on Amazon or go down to your local hardware store. They're fairly inexpensive. But anyway, I turn back on the battery power. You'll need the battery power to find out which of the 12-volt sides of these lines is the positive line. So I inserted the red into the black and white clip first, and then I inserted the black into the white wire clip. And looking at my multimeter, which is set to read DC voltage, you can see I have 13.14 DC volts, and this is positive. There's no negative sign there, so this is positive voltage, which tells me that I have it connected correctly. The red connection here on my black and white line is the positive. That's what I need to hook up the positive for my dimmer switch. So now that we know which is the positive, which one to connect my little positive input wire to, we're going to make sure we turn the power off at the battery disconnect, and we're going to insert the positive into our positive wire. Clip the clip. Now we're going to insert the remaining wire into the other clip, clip it shut. So we've gone back out and turned on the 12-volt battery supply again, and now it's time to test the light to see if we have it connected up correctly. Now this dimmer switch comes with a nice little remote control. Now this remote control, you can mount it anywhere in the room, but anyway, we've got it here in our hand while we're testing it so far. And I'm going to just see how it works. I'm going to press the on-off button. You see it has an on-off button and then a up and down to dim the light, but we're just going to test the on-off. So one press and voila, we have light. Let's test the dimmer now. There we go, down a couple of clicks. This is a 7-step dimmer, so you have quite a few levels of dimming on this. So I'm going to return it to full brightness because essentially I just want this light to give some light when you come into the room. Now you can adjust this to whatever dimming you want to. So we know that the switch works on and off. I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to go back and turn off the power. And then, okay, so the power's off. Now it's time to button it up. And we're going to gently insert the wires back into the ceiling. One connection at a time fits through the nice little hole. So you see the first two big connections. Then you insert the dimmer switch neatly back up into the hole in the ceiling. And you have your light ready to reinstall. I'm going to hold it there. Get the screws started. Fairly straightforward. I'm going to bring them tight with the drill bit, but not too tight so that you don't strip the threads. There we go. And the second one, and the third one. Now that the light is installed, I'm going to put the cover back on it. Twist it back in place. Now we're going to go turn on the power again. Okay, so now that we have the power on, we're going to test it one more time just to make sure that none of the wires became disconnected while we're putting it back up in the ceiling. So one click on, one click off, one click on. Let's test the dimmer. Dimmer works great. So let's turn it back off. And now all that's left to do is figure out where you want to put this handy dandy remote. Now you can leave it lying around, and you can control it from anywhere in the RV or travel trailer, or you can make it a true wall switch or make it even removable. So it has holes that you can actually screw it onto the wall, but we chose to make it portable but permanent, semi-permanent. So we use this handy dandy Velcro command strip, placed it right here on the wall. And that's all there is to it. Now, this wall switch, one other piece of this that's important to know is that this is powered by a battery. Now the battery is easy to get to. You saw how easy it was for me to snap this item off. And there you see the battery inside. To close it up, you just snap it back in place. And there's the light switch. So that's our install of the Eco-Light dimmer switch. You can do this for just one light, or you can have this control multiple lights. It can be paired to up to 3 different dimmers as well if you want to get a little bit more sophisticated. So that's it for RV Traveler's Voice today, and I hope you enjoy this video.